equals the faint, rosy glow of dawn soften the ziggurat's uppermost terraces, casting long, lean shadows across the vast temple complex of Uar. Even before the sun fully cleared the eastern horizon, the city began its murmurous awakening, a gentle symphony of ancient life. You could discern the first rhythmic thud of a baker's mortar pounding barley in a distant courtyard, a sound as old as the fertile crescent itself, signaling the imminent preparation of flatbread for the day's first meal. The air, still cool from the night, carried the damp scent of the Euphrates, mingled with the faint, sweet perfume of drying dates and the earthy aroma of smoldering dung cakes, carefully stacked for cooking fires. This was the heart of Sumer, a place where the gods themselves were believed to walk among humankind. As the sun, a brazen copper disk, climbed higher, its warmth quickly spread over the mud brick homes and administrative buildings that clustered around the colossal temple tower. The streets, still damp from the prior evening's irrigation sluices that fed the city's small household gardens, gradually filled with the quiet shuffle of sandals and the occasional lowing of a tethered ox. Farmers, their woolen kilts stained with the ochre earth of their fields, steered their simple wooden carts laden with fresh produce, bundles of leeks, pyramids of onions, and baskets brimming with figs, towards the bustling marketplace, eager to trade their morning's harvest for silver rings or measures of precious oil. The precise administration of the great granaries, overflowing with the empire's barley reserves, ensured that the city's sustenance was carefully managed, a testament to the meticulous planning characteristic of the UR3 state. The city walls, constructed from millions of sun-baked bricks, gleamed faintly in the growing light, a testament to the immense labor and societal organization required to protect this sprawling urban center. High above the bustling thoroughfares, within the ziggurat's sacred enclosure, robed priests of Nana, the moon god, began their early rituals, their deep incantations echoing softly between the monumental walls. They ascended the broad, processional stairway, each step worn smooth by countless generations of devout feet, their solemn progress a daily affirmation of the divine order that structured every aspect of Sumerian existence, from agricultural cycles to the succession of kings. Small offerings of fragrant cedar incense would soon be placed upon altars, their ephemeral smoke curling skyward as a direct conduit to the celestial deities who govern the fate of mortals. Beneath the towering ziggurat, in the labyrinthine warren of workshops, the city's skilled artisans commenced their daily tasks with methodical precision. The dull clink of a coppersmith's hammer against his anvil resonated from a shadowed alleyway, shaping a new vessel for beer or water, while the rhythmic whir of a potter's wheel spun clay into elegant jars and practical storage containers for the vast temple economy. Weavers, mostly women, gathered in open courtyards, their fingers deftly manipulating wool on simple upright looms, creating the sturdy, fringed garments worn by nearly everyone, from the lowest laborer to the highest dignitary, the standard issue for a populace under centralized control. Each craft, meticulously recorded by scribes, contributed to the prosperity and material culture of the great empire. The canals that threaded through the city, branches of the mighty Euphrates, served as vital arteries, transporting goods and providing the essential water for life in this arid land. Small, reed boats, punted by sun-darkened boatmen, glided silently along the waterways, carrying bundles of reeds for construction or baskets of fresh-caught fish to be salted and dried for preservation. The scent of drying fish hung near the narrower channels, a pungent reminder of the river's bounty. Even the simplest act of drawing water from a canal or irrigating a small plot was governed by intricate regulations and long-standing customs, a reflection of the profound respect for water resources in a region where life itself depended upon its careful management. In the Adaba, the scribal school, Young boys, mostly from affluent families, already hunched over clay tablets, their faces etched with the intense concentration required to master the intricate wedge-shaped symbols of cuneiform. A stern ummiyah, or master scribe, observed their efforts, occasionally tapping a miswritten character with his stylus. They practiced writing lists of Sumerian words, legal contracts, and administrative records, their education a rigorous preparation for roles in the sprawling bureaucracy that managed the empire's vast resources. The very existence of such complex written records, detailing everything from grain allocations to international treaties, underscored the sophisticated administrative capabilities that underpin the UR3 state, a network of communication stretching across its dominion. Within the opulent confines of the royal palace, itself a sprawling complex of courtyards, audience halls, and private residences, the servants bustled silently, preparing for the day's official duties. The air there was often fragrant with imported resins and precious spices, a stark contrast to the common smells of the city. Though the great king, Uarnama, or one of his successors, might still be in his chambers, the machinery of government was already in motion. Court officials, identifiable by their finely woven robes and elaborate cylinder seals hanging from their necks, consulted over clay tablets detailing tax revenues from distant provinces or the movements of tribute caravans. Every transaction, every legal decree, every royal pronouncement was meticulously inscribed, copied, and archived, creating an indelible record of imperial power and its meticulously enforced legal framework. Later in the morning, the heat intensified, driving many inhabitants to seek refuge in the cool shade of their homes, built with thick mud brick walls to insulate against the sun's relentless rays. Women would gather inside their central courtyards, protected from the dust-laden winds that occasionally swept across the plains. There, they might grind barley on a saddle quern, the rhythmic rasp of stone against grain a constant presence, or weave mats from reeds harvested from the marshlands. Children, their linen tunics clinging to their small frames, played with clay figurines or chased small, yapping dogs through the narrow alleys, their carefree laughter a transient counterpoint to the city's serious industry. Life unfolded in cycles, dictated by the sun, the rivers, and the demands of an organized society. The empire's reach extended far beyond the city walls of Ur. Caravans, laden with textiles, grains, and finished goods, departed regularly for distant lands, trading with cities in Elam to the east or importing copper from Magan and timber from Dilmun, bringing back exotic raw materials essential for the empire's workshops and temples. The long journeys across the vast, sun-baked plains were perilous, sometimes beset by marauders, but the rewards of trade were immense, enriching the royal treasury and providing the elite with luxury items. These vital trade routes, meticulously documented and protected by the king's forces, were the economic lifelines that sustained the power and grandeur of the Ur3 dynasty, connecting it to a wider ancient world. At the bustling city gates, soldiers in leather helmets and simple bronze-tipped spears stood guard, their watchful eyes scanning the dusty approaches. Their duty was to protect the city from tribal incursions and to regulate the flow of people and goods, ensuring that taxes were levied and order maintained. The occasional clatter of a passing donkey cart or the chatter of merchants haggling over prices punctuated the quiet vigilance. The gates themselves, massive timber structures reinforced with metal bands, were symbols of both protection and control, representing the boundary between the ordered urban civilization and the wilder, less predictable lands beyond the irrigated plains, a constant reminder of the state's military prowess. The midday sun beat down with an unyielding intensity, forcing most outdoor activity to a minimum. Even the marketplace, once a cacophony of voices and the scent of spices, grew quieter as vendors sought shaded awnings or retired to their homes for a brief repose. The air shimmered above the brickwork, creating distortions in the distant vista of palm groves. This was a time for simple, cooling meals, perhaps some preserved fish, a date or two, and a generous draught of beer from a clay jug, prepared by the women of the household. The rhythms of the climate dictated the pace of life, demanding adaptation from everyone who dwelled in this unforgiving yet fertile cradle of civilization. Inside the Ekasirgal, the main temple dedicated to Nana, the moon god, the atmosphere was one of profound reverence, a cool, dark sanctuary from the oppressive heat outside. Priests, their heads shaved clean and bodies ritually purified, moved with deliberate grace, attending to the divine images and overseeing the presentation of votive offerings brought by the devout. The air was thick with the scent of burnt oils and the lingering perfume of frankincense. The meticulous daily rituals, performed without fail, were believed to ensure the continued prosperity of the city and the empire, maintaining the delicate balance between the human realm and the powerful, often capricious, will of the gods who governed all aspects of the cosmos. As the afternoon shadows began to lengthen, children would return to the canals, splashing playfully in the cool water, their cries echoing cheerfully. Women might gather at public wells, exchanging gossip as they filled their water jars, their earthenware vessels clinking softly against each other. The city, slowly reawakening from its midday slumber, started to stir once more with renewed energy. The preparations for the evening meal began, with families gathering their ingredients, fresh dates, perhaps some lentils, and barley ground for bread. This communal rhythm of daily life, deeply intertwined with the cycles of nature and the mandates of the temple, reflected the social fabric of UR. Yet, beyond the visible grandeur and meticulously ordered daily life, there was a subtle undercurrent, a whisper of ancient secrets veiled in the very dust that settled upon the clay tablets. Some of the older priests, their faces etched with generations of wisdom, occasionally spoke of forgotten pacts, of powerful curses invoked during times of great upheaval, even before the rise of the current dynasty. They spoke of the kings of Akkad, mighty Sargon and Naram-Sin, whose vast empire had mysteriously crumbled, its magnificent cities left to ruin, a catastrophic decline attributed by many to divine wrath for sacrilege committed against the gods. These tales, usually recounted in hushed tones away from the ears of the common folk, hinted at truths buried deep within the earth, within the collective memory, and within the very foundations of the land itself. Whispers would sometimes circulate among the market traders about unusual omens seen in the night sky, peculiar animal behaviors, or strange dreams experienced by respected elders. Though quickly dismissed by the ever-efficient royal administration as mere superstitions of the uneducated, these stories persisted, weaving themselves into the rich tapestry of folklore. They spoke of the gods' displeasure, of the instability inherent in even the most powerful human constructs. The grand ziggurat, a beacon of order and faith, also cast the longest shadows, under which ancient fears and the weight of forgotten pasts sometimes seemed to gather, an unspoken anxiety about the fragility of even this magnificent empire. The scribes, in their endless task of cataloging and preserving knowledge, sometimes stumbled upon fragments of older texts, cryptic tablets from long-dead cities, detailing events that predated the written histories known to most. These were texts whose language, an older dialect of Sumerian or perhaps Akkadian, spoke of rituals performed in forgotten shrines, of powerful artifacts hidden away, and of warnings passed down through generations of priestly families. Such documents were rarely displayed, often reinterred or kept locked within the most secure archives of the temple library, deemed too sensitive or potentially dangerous for common interpretation, hinting at a repository of knowledge far deeper than what was publicly known. The meticulous administrative records of grain disbursements, the carefully etched laws of Uarnama's code, and the detailed inventory of temple goods painted a picture of absolute control and prosperity. However, within these very archives, carefully hidden among thousands of mundane economic records, there existed certain sealed tablets, often marked with peculiar symbols not found in standard scribal curricula. These particular documents were handled with an air of profound solemnity by only the highest-ranking scribes, their contents never publicly discussed, perhaps outlining a secret history or a grave warning passed down from a previous, ill-fated dynasty, a legacy of a power both immense and perilous, now safeguarded with unyielding vigilance. As the sun began its descent, painting the western sky in hues of deep orange and violet, the city's myriad oil lamps were lit, dotting the darkening streets with points of amber light. The sounds of evening cooking fires mingled with the low hum of conversation from family courtyards. The temple rituals for Nana, the moon god, would soon commence, invoking his protective light over the sleeping city. Life continued in its ancient, unyielding rhythm, yet the legacy of vanished empires and the unspoken weight of their buried secrets lingered, a faint echo in the cool evening breeze, a forgotten narrative awaiting its rediscovery beneath the very earth upon which you stood. As the first hint of rose and gold spilled over the eastern horizon, you would feel you are stirring, not with a sudden jolt, but a slow, deliberate unwinding from the embrace of night. The cool, dry air, still holding the residual chill of the desert evening, would begin to surrender to the nascent warmth of the sun. From your dwelling, perhaps a modest mud brick home nestled within the labyrinthine alleyways of the city, you might hear the distant braying of a donkey, the soft clatter of a wooden cart on unpaved streets, or the faint, echoing call of a street vendor preparing for the day ahead. Your home itself would be a testament to both practicality and the available resources. Constructed primarily of sun-dried mud bricks, reinforced with reeds and bitumen, it would offer a cool sanctuary from the scorching summer sun and a surprising warmth during the colder months. The flat roof, often made from compacted mud and reeds, might be a place where you slept during the hottest nights, gazing at the myriad stars that seemed impossibly close in the clear Mesopotamian sky. Inside, the rooms, likely few and small, would be sparsely furnished, perhaps woven reed mats on the floor for sleeping, a low wooden stool, and clay pots for storage. Light would filter in through a high window opening or through the doorway itself, illuminating the simple necessities of daily life. The air, despite the simplicity, would carry a faint, earthy scent, a blend of dried clay, stored grains, and the lingering aroma of the previous night's cooking fire. Soon, the muted gray of dawn would give way to the vibrant blues and golds of a new day. You might rise from your mat, stretching in the soft, diffused light. A small clay basin would hold water, perhaps drawn from a nearby well or collected from the canals, for a simple ablution. The water would be cool against your skin, a refreshing start to the day. Your clothing would be simple, reflecting the climate and the resources. For many, this would mean a single piece of woven wool or linen, draped and secured. Men often wore kilts or skirts, while women might wear a longer dress-like garment, sometimes fastened at one shoulder, leaving the other bare. The fabric, undyed or perhaps a natural shade of cream or brown, would feel coarse yet comfortable against your skin, providing protection from both sun and dust. The aromas of breakfast would begin to waft through the household. Often, this would involve a simple but nourishing meal of barley bread, perhaps still warm from a small clay oven, accompanied by dates, onions, or a smear of sesame paste. Sometimes, if the family was fortunate, a little fish from the river or dried meat might be added. You would eat sitting on mats on the floor, perhaps sharing a common bowl, the quiet murmurs of family a comforting backdrop to the sounds of the waking city. The taste of the rough barley bread, sweet dates, and pungent onions would be a familiar, grounding experience, a taste of itself. As the sun climbed higher, casting long, sharp shadows, you would step out into the burgeoning energy of the streets. The narrow alleyways, often winding and irregular, would be bustling with activity. Children, clad in their simple garments, would chase each other, their laughter echoing off the mud brick walls. Donkeys, laden with baskets of produce or bundles of reeds, would move with a rhythmic, unhurried pace, their drivers guiding them with soft commands. The air would thicken with the sounds of daily life, the rhythmic tap-tap of a stone mason, the clang of a coppersmith, the distant bleating of sheep being herded towards the market, and the constant chatter of voices in the Sumerian tongue. You might find yourself drawn towards the heart of the city, where the grand public buildings stood in stark contrast to the humble dwellings. The immense ziggurat of Nana, the moon god, would dominate the skyline, its massive mud brick terraces rising towards the heavens like a tiered mountain. Its sheer scale was a constant reminder of the city's devotion and power, a beacon visible for miles across the flat plains. Around its base, the temple complex would be a hive of activity, priests and priestesses moving with quiet dignity, overseeing the daily offerings and rituals. The air here would carry the scent of incense, burnt offerings, and fresh water, a sacred space set apart from the worldly bustle. Beyond the temple, the royal palace of King Uarnama would stand as another testament to the city's might. Though you might not enter its inner sanctums, its imposing walls and grand entrance would convey an undeniable sense of authority and wealth. Imagine the carefully carved stone reliefs, perhaps depicting the king's triumphs or his devotion to the gods, serving as silent guardians. The sheer volume of resources and labor required to construct and maintain such edifices would be staggering, a visible manifestation of the meticulously organized bureaucracy that governed every aspect of life in UR. Your journey might lead you towards the bustling marketplace, a vibrant tableau of Sumerian commerce. Here, the narrow streets would widen into open squares, teeming with people and goods. Farmers, having brought their produce from the fertile fields outside the city walls, would display baskets overflowing with dates, figs, pomegranates, and an assortment of vegetables like onions, garlic, and lentils. Their hands, often calloused and strong, would gesture as they haggled over prices, their voices rising and falling in a rhythmic chant. You might see the rich, dark soil still clinging to some of the root vegetables, a direct connection to the life-giving land. Alongside the farmers, artisans would showcase their crafts. A potter might sit amidst rows of elegantly shaped clay vessels, jars for oil, bowls for grain, and cups for water, each piece bearing the subtle marks of the potter's hand. The clay, often a reddish brown, would gleam in the sunlight. Nearby, a weaver would spread out colorful textiles, perhaps dyed with vibrant pigments extracted from plants, their patterns intricate and varied. The soft wool or linen would feel cool to the touch. Jewelers, though perhaps less prominent in an open market, might display delicate pieces of hammered copper or silver, sometimes inlaid with lapis lazuli from distant Afghanistan or carnelian from the Indus Valley, glinting temptingly in the sunlight. The air in the marketplace would be thick with a complex tapestry of scents, the earthy aroma of grains and spices, the pungent smell of dried fish, the sweet notes of ripe fruits, and the occasional whiff of livestock. Merchants, their faces tanned by the sun, would call out their wares, their voices adding to the constant hum of bartering and conversation. You might observe a merchant from Dilmun, their distinctive attire hinting at faraway lands, negotiating for copper ingots or bales of wool. The presence of such diverse individuals underscored UR's position as a hub of international trade, drawing goods and people from across the known world, from the timber of Lebanon to the obsidian of Anatolia, from the exotic perfumes of Megan to the intricate seals of the industry. Each transaction, no matter how small, was a thread in the vast economic web that held the empire together. As midday approached, the sun would climb to its zenith, beating down with an intensity that would drive many to seek shelter. The light would become harsh, almost blinding, flattening the colors of the city into shades of beige and ochre. Most activity would slow, retreating into the shade of awnings or the cool interiors of homes and workshops. The silence would deepen, broken only by the distant murmur of the Euphrates, its life-giving waters flowing ceaselessly, a silver ribbon in the glaring light. You might retreat to your home, perhaps to share a light meal and rest during the hottest hours, finding solace in the dim, cool quiet. For those in the Adaba, the scribal school, the day would be one of relentless mental exercise. While you might not be a student there, you would know of its existence, its crucial role in maintaining the vast administrative machinery of UR. Imagine the cool, shaded courtyards where young scribes, often boys from elite families, would sit on low stools, their hands covered in the distinctive clay dust. With precise, practiced movements, they would press their reed styluses into soft, moist clay tablets, forming the intricate wedge-shaped marks of cuneiform. The air would be filled with a faint, scratching sound of stylus on clay, punctuated by the stern voices of their teachers guiding them through complex legal texts, administrative records, or literary compositions. The shelves of the Adaba would groan under the weight of countless baked clay tablets, each a tiny piece of the empire's memory, meticulously catalogued and stored. It was within these very walls, in the silence of these vast archives, that the weight of past empires and their enigmatic downfall would be most acutely felt, a silent promise of the future. Later in the afternoon, as the sun began its gentle descent, activity would resume with renewed vigor. Craftsmen would return to their workshops. A potter's wheel would spin rhythmically, shaping clay into elegant forms. A weaver's shuttle would fly back and forth, building patterns thread by thread. You might pass the bakery, where the warm, yeasty smell of fresh bread would fill the air, a staple that fed the entire city. The daily tasks, though seemingly mundane, were the very sinews of UR's existence, each person contributing to the immense, complex organism that was the city-state. As dusk began to paint the sky in hues of purple and orange, the city would gradually transition from the bustle of work to the warmth of communal life. Families would gather for the evening meal, often more substantial than breakfast or lunch. Stews rich with barley, vegetables, and sometimes meat or fish would simmer over small cooking fires, their aromas mingling with the scent of wood smoke and baked bread. It was a time for storytelling, for sharing the day's events, for a quiet conversation. The harsh light of day would soften into the intimate glow of oil lamps and small fires, casting flickering shadows on the mud brick walls. The sounds of the city would change too. The daytime clamor would subside, replaced by the gentle hum of evening. The distant strains of a lyre or a flute might drift from a courtyard, a simple melody carried on the cooling breeze. From the rooftops, where families gathered to escape the lingering heat, you might hear the soft murmur of voices, laughter, and the cries of nocturnal birds. The vastness of the Mesopotamian night sky would begin to reveal itself, the myriad stars emerging one by one, a breathtaking canopy over the ancient city. Yet, Even amidst this serene beauty, a subtle undercurrent of unease, a faint echo of the whispers from Part 1, would seem to settle with the falling darkness. The stories of fallen empires, of Akkad under Sargon and Naram-Sin, were not mere cautionary tales. They were embedded in the very foundations of Sumerian thought, a constant reminder of the fragility of even the grandest constructions. You might overhear hushed conversations in the darkening streets, fragments of old tales about curses and divine retribution, about the unforgiving nature of the gods when their will was defied. Some spoke of ancient omens, strange markings found on unearthed tablets, hints of a secret that predated even Akkad, a hidden blight passed down through epochs. Perhaps you would pass a secluded shrine, its entrance half obscured, where a solitary figure might be making a private offering, their face etched with a silent plea. Or you might catch a fleeting glimpse of a unique symbol carved into an ancient stone block, unlike any you had seen before, a strange, archaic design that seemed to pulse with a forgotten energy. The meticulous order of UR, its impressive bureaucracy, its grand temples and palaces, were all built upon a profound awareness of the cosmic order, an order that could be disrupted, an order that carried the memory of past catastrophes. The weight of these past failures, the stories of lands laid waste and dynasties overthrown, was preserved not just in the sealed archives of Yadaba, but in the collective consciousness of the people, a quiet fear that lingered in the shadows, a secret burden that the magnificent city of UR carried beneath its splendid exterior. As the last embers of the day faded, leaving only the silver light of the moon to illuminate the towering ziggurat, you would be left with the quiet contemplation of UR's grandeur, its vibrant life, and the persistent, unsettling whisper of the secret history it tried so diligently to bury. The city, vast and magnificent, would finally yield to the quiet embrace of night, carrying its ancient mysteries into the realm of dreams. As the last embers of daylight faded from the western horizon, casting long, purple shadows across the vast plain, the ancient city of UR settled into a different rhythm. The clamor of the marketplace softened into a distant hum, the cries of vendors replaced by the gentle rustle of the wind through reed mats and the distant barking of a dog. Above, the Mesopotamian night sky began to reveal its countless glittering jewels, each star a silent sentinel watching over the sleeping world, just as they had watched over countless generations, countless empires, and countless secrets. The undercurrent of unease that lingered in the evening air, a whisper of fallen empires like Akkad and ancient omens, was not a frantic fear but a deeply ingrained awareness, a consciousness woven into the very fabric of UR's existence. It was the wisdom of a people who understood the cyclical nature of power, the fickle favor of the gods, and the delicate balance required to maintain civilization against the relentless sands of time. This understanding was not born of weakness, but of profound historical memory, a collective inheritance passed down through stories, rituals, and the very architecture of their lives. Within the shadows of those monumental walls, beneath the watchful gaze of the heavens, UR carried not just its daily routines, but a profound spiritual life that permeated every aspect of existence. The colossal ziggurat of Nana, now a darker, more imposing silhouette against the starry expanse, was more than just a testament to devotion. It was the city's pulsating heart, its direct conduit to the divine. Imagine, if you will, the hushed reverence that would accompany its towering presence even in the deepest night, a constant reminder of the god's omnipresence. It was here, within the sacred enclosures surrounding the ziggurat, that the city's spiritual guardians resided, the priests and priestesses. Their lives were a tapestry woven with ritual, prayer, and the meticulous interpretation of divine will. Their days began long before the first hint of dawn, with ablutions in sacred pools, purification rites performed with incense and potent herbs, and the chanting of ancient hymns that echoed through the cool, damp stone corridors. They were the intermediaries, the conduits through which the mortal pleas and offerings ascended to the heavens, and through whom the gods' blessings and warnings descended upon the earth. The high priest, often a figure of immense wisdom and political influence, bore the heavy responsibility of ensuring Nana, the moon god and patron deity of Uar, remained appeased. His garments, often intricate weaves of fine linen adorned with lapis lazuli and gold, symbolized his elevated status, but it was his profound knowledge of cosmology, prophecy, and ritual that truly defined him. He understood the language of the stars, the meaning behind the flight of birds, the patterns of smoke from burning offerings, and the subtle tremors of the earth, each a potential messenger of divine favor or impending wrath. Priestesses, particularly those dedicated to Inanna, the goddess of love, war, and fertility, held equally vital roles. Their rituals were often more vibrant, involving music, dance, and ecstatic devotion, aimed at invigorating the land and ensuring the fertility of both fields and families. They oversaw temples dedicated to healing, offered counsel to those seeking guidance, and performed rites of passage for the young, weaving the sacred into the very fabric of daily life. Their presence was a testament to the belief that the divine feminine was as crucial to the city's prosperity as the divine masculine, a duality that mirrored the balance of the cosmos. This profound spiritual dedication was inextricably linked to the underlying unease. The fall of Akkad, centuries prior, was not merely a historical event. It was a cosmic catastrophe, interpreted by many as a loss of divine favor. The great Sargon of Akkad, once considered divinely chosen, had seen his empire crumble. Was it hubris? Was it neglect of the gods? The priests of Uar studied these narratives intently, searching for clues, for warnings, for any insight that might prevent their own glorious city from suffering a similar fate. They meticulously maintained ancient texts, scrolls of clay tablets inscribed with omens and prophecies, stories of cities blessed and cursed, seeking patterns in the rise and fall of civilizations. The cursed empire's secret might well have been hidden within these very texts, a warning encoded in mythology, a forgotten transgression, or a prophecy yet to be understood. Beyond the hushed temples, the lifeblood of Uar pulsed through its fertile fields. While the marketplace hummed with trade and the ziggurat rose in silent majesty, the city's very existence was rooted in the rich, alluvial soil of Mesopotamia. Imagine the vast stretches of barley and wheat fields that extended far beyond the city walls, shimmering gold under the relentless sun, watered by the intricate network of canals fed by the Euphrates. This was the true engine of Uar's prosperity, the foundation upon which its grandeur was built. The farmers, the unsung heroes of Uar, dedicated their lives to coaxing sustenance from the land. Their days were dictated by the seasons, by the precise timing of floods and planting, by the constant vigilance required to maintain the delicate irrigation systems. Imagine the rhythmic splash of water wheels, the patient leading of oxen plowing the earth, the collective labor of men and women bending over young shoots, protecting them from pests and weeds. Their prayers were for abundant harvests, their fears were of drought or devastating floods, their hopes tied directly to the cycles of nature. A failed harvest could trigger famine, social unrest, and ultimately, a loss of faith in the gods' benevolence, a vulnerability keenly felt in a land where the line between feast and famine was often perilously thin. The granaries of Uar, massive mud brick structures designed to store the surplus from bountiful years, were as vital as the palace treasury. They represented not just food security, but a collective insurance against the unpredictable whims of nature and the gods. Scribes meticulously recorded every sack of grain, every jar of oil, every head of livestock that entered and exited these communal stores, a testament to the organized, foresightful approach UR took to its survival. This meticulous record-keeping, often conducted by lamplight in cool, dark chambers, was another layer of protection, a bulwark against the chaos that could dismantle an empire. And then there were the craftspeople, the skilled artisans who transformed raw materials into objects of beauty and utility, enriching UR's reputation across the ancient world. Their workshops, often located along specific streets or within designated quarters, would have been alive with the sounds of creation, the rhythmic clang of the coppersmith's hammer, the whir of the potter's wheel, the quiet click of a weaver's loom, the delicate scraping of a jeweler carving intricate designs. Imagine stepping into the pottery district, the air thick with the scent of wet clay and wood smoke from the kilns. Potters, with hands stained ochre and brown, would deftly shape clay into sturdy storage jars, elegant drinking vessels, and finely decorated ritual bowls. Each piece, fired to a rich terracotta, held not just practical value but often symbolic meaning, adorned with images of gods, animals, or geometric patterns that carried their own ancient narratives. The metallurgists, working with imported copper, tin and gold, forged tools, weapons, and magnificent ornaments. Their mastery of the furnace, their understanding of alloys, allowed them to create objects of extraordinary durability and beauty, from bronze tools that tilled the fields more efficiently to intricate gold filigree jewelry coveted by queens and nobles. The secrets of their craft, passed down from master to apprentice over generations, were closely guarded, a valuable asset to the city's economic and military strength. Weavers transformed raw wool, shorn from the city's vast flocks, into luxurious textiles. These would range from the simple, practical tunics worn by the populace to sumptuously dyed and embroidered cloaks for the elite and elaborate tapestries that adorned temple walls. The textile industry was a significant employer, particularly for women, and UR's fine woolen goods were sought after throughout Mesopotamia and beyond. Even the humble reed mat weavers played a crucial role, their nimble fingers transforming reeds from the marshes into floor coverings, baskets, and even the lightweight boats that plied the canals. Every profession, every skilled hand, contributed to the intricate mosaic of UR's daily life, creating a self-sufficient and prosperous society. The meticulous nature of their work, the patience and precision required, mirrored the broader societal effort to build and maintain a complex civilization. But it was arguably the scribes, those who trained in the Adaba, who held the most direct key to the city's historical memory and its fragile secrets. Their role extended far beyond simply learning cuneiform. They were the administrators, the historians, the legal minds, and the keepers of myth. Imagine the cool, silent chambers of a scribal school, the focused concentration as young students etched their exercises onto clay tablets, learning not just the bewildering array of cuneiform signs, but also mathematics, astronomy, literature, and the complex legal codes that governed UR. Once graduated, these scribes became the bureaucratic backbone of the empire. They worked in the temples, managing vast estates and recording offerings. They served the palace, drafting royal decrees, recording military victories, and corresponding with distant lands. They were the judges and the legal experts, applying the code of UR-Nama, one of the earliest known law codes, to disputes over property, contracts, and personal injury. This code, written in an attempt to establish justice and prevent chaos, revealed the very tensions and vulnerabilities of UR's society: theft, assault, slander, and the constant need to protect the vulnerable. The meticulous records of legal proceedings, painstakingly inscribed on clay, built a collective memory of societal norms and transgressions, a constant effort to maintain order in a world always prone to disorder. And crucially, scribes were the custodians of ancient knowledge. They copied and recopied the great myths, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the stories of creation and flood, preserving the spiritual and historical narratives that defined Sumerian identity. They translated texts from older languages, linking UR to civilizations long past, drawing lessons from their triumphs and their downfalls. The fragile secrets of UR, the warnings of the cursed empire, would have been most keenly understood, perhaps even consciously guarded, within the scholarly circles of these scribes. They knew the prophecies, the omens, the historical precedents of divine displeasure. They understood that the collapse of an empire was often preceded not by sudden invasion, but by subtle shifts, neglected rituals, unjust rule, internal strife, or environmental calamities. The military, too, played a significant but often unseen role in maintaining this delicate balance. While UR was an empire of trade and culture, it was also one of might. The city walls, constructed of massive mud bricks, stood as a silent testament to the need for defense. Guard patrols, their footsteps muffled on the dusty streets, ensured internal security, while a well-trained standing army, equipped with bronze spears and shields, protected trade routes and defended the empire's borders. The memory of Akkad's fall, whether by internal rebellion, external invasion, or a combination, fueled a constant vigilance. UR's kings understood that peace was not a given, but a carefully guarded state, maintained through both diplomacy and strength. The unease, therefore, was not a simple fear of the unknown, but a sophisticated understanding of history, a profound respect for the divine, and a constant awareness of the effort required to sustain civilization. The Cursed Empire's secret was perhaps less a single hidden object and more a pervasive wisdom, that even the greatest human endeavors are inherently fragile, built upon the shifting sands of time, dependent on divine favor, and perpetually vulnerable to the forces of chaos and change. It was a secret born of experience, a historical burden carried by every generation. As the moon traced its path across the zenith of the sky, casting a silver sheen over the ziggurat and the sleeping city, one could almost hear the whispered echoes of this wisdom carried on the night wind. The sounds of UR faded further, replaced by the soft chirp of crickets and the distant lapping of the Euphrates. The air, cooled by the vast darkness, carried the faint sense of dried mud, cooking fires long extinguished, and the ancient dust of a land that had witnessed the birth and death of countless dreams. UR, magnificent and proud, rested beneath the ancient stars, its people dreaming of daily tasks, of harvests and offerings, of family and trade. But deep within the collective unconscious, within the sacred texts and the whispered stories, lay the profound truth of their existence, that their present glory was built upon the lessons of a past marred by divine wrath and human folly, and that the continued favor of the gods was not a guarantee, but a ceaseless endeavor. The fragile secrets of a cursed empire, unburied yet ever-present, shaped their every decision, their every prayer, their every hope for a future that might avoid the mistakes of forgotten ages. And so, as the Mesopotamian night deepened, UR slept, cradled in its enduring mystery, awaiting the dawn that would bring both new life and the continuing burden of its ancient past. The final embers of the Mesopotamian sun would paint the horizon in hues of saffron and rose, casting long, dancing shadows across the fertile plains surrounding UR. The day's clamor would soften into a gentle hum, a chorus of distant voices, the lowing of cattle, and the rustle of the evening breeze through the reed beds along the Euphrates. It was in these quiet transitions, between the bustling light and the profound darkness, that the true weight of UR's unique wisdom settled upon the city, a collective consciousness woven from the threads of history and foresight. UR was not merely a city that remembered, it was a city that understood. The fall of Akkad, the echoes of empires that had risen with mighty roars only to crumble into dust, were not cautionary tales whispered in hushed tones of fear. They were profound lessons, meticulously studied, debated, and integrated into the very fabric of daily life. The cursed empires were not cursed by external malevolence, but by a more insidious, internal blight, the forgetting of essential truths, the slow decay of humility, the unchecked ascent of hubris. This was the true secret UR labored to understand and to guard against, not by hiding a relic, but by cultivating a state of constant, gentle vigilance. Imagine, if you will, the serene moments as the first stars began to prick the deepening indigo sky above the ziggurat of Nana. The colossal stepped tower, a sacred mountain built by human hands, no longer vibrated with the urgency of midday rituals. Instead, it stood as a quiet sentinel, its uppermost shrine bathed in the soft, nascent glow of the moon, which was Nana's celestial face. Priests and priestesses, their ceremonial duties for the day concluded, might linger on the terraces, their gaze sweeping across the sleeping city, then upwards to the timeless expanse of the cosmos. Their hearts, attuned to the ancient rhythms, understood that their service to Nana and Inanna was not just about supplication, but about maintaining cosmic balance, a reflection of the societal balance UR so carefully sought. The profound lessons gleaned from ancient texts were not abstract philosophies for the scholars alone. They permeated the consciousness of every citizen, albeit in different forms. For the farmer, tilling the rich soil by the Euphrates, it was the understanding that the earth, though bountiful, required careful stewardship, never to be exploited or taken for granted. The river, life-giving as it was, could also unleash destructive floods, a powerful metaphor for the transient nature of all earthly endeavors. Their seasonal cycles, their reliance on the predictable yet powerful river, instilled a deep respect for natural forces, teaching a humility that many past empires had lost in their pursuit of endless expansion. The fertility of the fields, which sustained UR's robust economy, was a gift, never a right. This awareness, deeply rooted in the soil, was a quiet antidote to the arrogance that had plagued the cursed empires. In the workshops, the skilled hands of potters and metallurgists, though focused on creating objects of beauty and utility, unconsciously echoed this philosophy. Each carefully shaped vessel, each meticulously crafted tool, was made with an understanding of its purpose, its fragility, and its eventual return to the earth. The potter's wheel, spinning rhythmically, mirrored the cycle of life, creation, and dissolution. The metallurgist's furnace, forging strength from raw ore, symbolized the refining of society through wisdom and discipline. There was a quiet pride, not in possession, but in the act of creation itself, a subtle defiance against the transience of all things, yet an acceptance of it too. Their work was not just craft. It was a prayer, a quiet act of building and sustaining, piece by careful piece. Within the silent chambers of the Adaba, the scribes continued their meticulous work, even as darkness descended. The flickering oil lamps cast dancing shadows on the clay tablets as they transcribed legal codes, administrative records, and enduring myths that carried the wisdom of ages. The Code of Uarnama, a beacon of justice in an ancient world, was more than a set of laws. It was a conscious effort to prevent the internal injustices, the corruption, and the social stratification that had been the silent killers of earlier civilizations. It sought fairness, protection for the vulnerable, and a pathway for grievance, understanding that a society fractured by inequity was inherently unstable. The scribes, with their disciplined minds and steady hands, were the silent guardians of this societal equilibrium, ensuring that the lessons of the past were not only remembered, but actively applied. Their duty was to preserve not just words, but the spirit behind those words, the very essence of UR's unique vigilance. The standing army of UR, though robust and prepared, was not trained for aggressive conquest, but for vigilant defense. Their nightly patrols, their disciplined watch over the city walls, were not solely about warding off external invaders. They were also a symbolic act, a manifestation of the collective resolve to protect the delicate balance within. The military discipline, the quiet camaraderie among the soldiers, represented another facet of UR's efforts to maintain its stability. A strong, unified defense was a visible deterrent, but also an internal assurance that the city was prepared, not just to fight, but to endure. As the sentinels stood guard atop the walls, their gazes sweeping across the moonlit plains, they carried the quiet understanding that their vigilance was a shield against both physical threats and the more insidious threat of societal complacency. In the deepest heart of UR's consciousness lay the true meaning of the secret of the cursed empires. It wasn't a hidden chamber or a forgotten spell. It was the profound, yet simple, understanding that civilization's greatest enemy was not external, but internal. The gradual erosion of humility, the forgetfulness of our interconnectedness, the slow creep of self-importance that blinds us to the cyclical nature of existence. UR's efforts to sustain itself, to prolong its glory, were rooted in this preventative wisdom. It was a continuous, quiet act of learning and applying, a constant gentle course correction in the vast river of time. The city's very existence was an ongoing experiment in conscious evolution, a deliberate choice to remember what others had forgotten. As the moon reached its zenith, casting a silver sheen over the Euphrates, the city of UR would finally fall into a deep, peaceful slumber. The last stray dog would curl up in a shadowed alley, the last oil lamp would flicker and extinguish, and a profound silence would descend. Only the whisper of the wind, carrying the scent of river water and night-blooming jasmine, would stir through the empty streets. In this stillness, the ziggurat of Nana stood, a silent monument to human aspiration and wisdom. It was in these hours of deep night that the collective efforts of UR truly coalesced into a tangible sense of peace, a quiet strength that transcended the temporal. The burial of the cursed empire's secret wasn't a physical act of interment, but a psychological one, the human tendency to forget, to disregard the lessons of the past in the pursuit of immediate desires. UR, uniquely, strove to unearth that secret, not to hide it further, but to hold it aloft, to illuminate its timeless truths for all to see and heed. The secret was not a magical charm, but the wisdom of constant self-reflection, of nurturing justice, of respecting the earth, and of understanding the delicate dance between power and responsibility. It was the acceptance that glory, however magnificent, is always fragile, always ephemeral, always a borrowed light. And as the night deepened, blanketing the ancient city in a cloak of profound quiet, this deep wisdom became a lullaby. The understanding that all things rise and fall, that even the greatest empires are but grains of sand in the desert of eternity, was not a cause for despair, but for a profound, soothing acceptance. UR, in its careful cultivation of memory and foresight, found a quiet dignity in its efforts. It was a city that understood the long, slow breath of time, the turning of ages, the inevitable ebb and flow of all existence. Its ambition was not to conquer time, but to live harmoniously within its currents, leaving behind not just ruins, but a legacy of thoughtful striving. Allow yourself now to drift into that same ancient calm. Picture the silver moonlight on the Euphrates, the stillness of the ziggurat, the silent watch of the stars above you are. Feel the ancient wisdom of this place wash over you, a gentle current carrying away all worries, all resistance. The lessons of you are, whispered across millennia, are of peace found in understanding, of rest found in letting go. Your own breath now slows, deepening, mirroring the quiet rhythm of the ancient world settling into its slumber. Your eyelids grow heavy, soft, like the falling petals of a desert bloom at dusk. Let your thoughts unfurl and float away, like wisps of mist rising from the cool river at dawn. The long, deep sleep of the earth calls to you. The enduring calm of ages invites you into its embrace. Feel the quiet knowledge of you are, the gentle acceptance of time's passage, settle within your very being. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to strive for, only this quiet surrender to the stillness of the moment. The secrets of the earth, the wisdom of the ages, now fold around you, guiding you deeper and deeper into a profound and peaceful sleep. Sleep now and rest deeply as the ancient night holds you safe and still.